Hey, welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a really fascinating creative practice that asks a pretty profound question. What if inspiration wasn't just something you come up with, but something you could actually tune into? We're talking about the art of the channel.
All right, so let's just jump right in with a pretty wild idea. What if the thoughts that are flowing through your head, the words you write down, the ideas that just pop in there, what if they could actually come from a source that's beyond your own personal self? It's a big thought, I know, so let's dig into how this is even supposed to work. So, where do we even begin? Well, our starting point is a very tangible practice. It's a foundational technique for opening up this, quote-unquote, direct line. And it all begins with something surprisingly simple, just putting pen to paper. This is what's called automatic writing. But here's the thing. The real secret sauce isn't just the act of writing, it's all about consistency. The idea is that if you write on a set schedule, you're essentially making an appointment. It's like you're telling whatever's out there, be it spirit or your guides, hey, I'll be here Tuesday at 9 a.m. This allows them to arrange to be present with you, creating this really reliable time for that creative flow to happen. Okay, but it doesn't just stop with writing. That's just step one, really. The practice itself is actually designed to evolve. So once that channel is established on paper, it can start to build from the written word into something else entirely. So check out how this whole thing unfolds. First, that consistent act of automatic writing is said to literally train your brain. It's opening up new neural pathways to handle a new capacity. You're basically prepping the hardware, your physical body, for the next step. And over time, this written practice can then evolve into what's called automatic speaking, or channeling. Now here's a really important detail that kind of keeps this whole idea from flying off into space. This isn't about some foreign language getting beamed into your head or anything like that. The source material is super clear. Any channeled information has to work with the tools you already have. It uses the vocabulary and the concepts that you've already learned in this lifetime. All right, so as you get deeper into this practice, its purpose starts to shift too. There are two pretty distinct stages to this kind of writing, and it's all about moving from the personal to the universal. So in stage one, you're basically just opening the floodgates. It's all about letting it flow, a pure stream of consciousness that's just designed to open that pathway. But then in stage two, things change. The focus shifts. You start to look back at what you've written, and you begin to edit, looking for the nuggets, the parts that are genuinely relevant and beneficial to other people. It's a real move from self-exploration to service.
And this quote just nails that idea perfectly. It's all about recognizing the difference between what's essentially your personal diary and what might contain a universal truth that can actually help a much wider audience.
Okay, so we've got the personal practice down, right? But remember that second stage, finding what's beneficial to others? This is where things get way bigger. The suggestion here is that this isn't just for creativity. It can be used as a unique lens to understand something much, much bigger. Human suffering. Yeah, this is where this whole framework takes a turn into some really unconventional territory. The ideas of connection and disconnection are actually applied to some of the most difficult events we see in the world, offering a spiritual framework for looking at global conflict. Okay, so get this. A really different theory is put forward for why some conflicts happen. It suggests that sometimes the reasons we see on the surface aren't the real root cause at all. Instead, it suggests that one group might be acting out because of a desperate, totally unconscious desire for the spiritual connection or teachings that another group has, but they just have no idea how to ask for it. So that naturally leads us to a much bigger question, right? If the surface level reasons for all this conflict are just symptoms, what is the fundamental cause of human suffering according to this way of looking at things? So what's really at the bottom of all this? According to this framework, it all boils down to one powerful concept, a profound sense of disconnection from our own true nature. So here's the central idea. All harmful acts and all the suffering they cause are said to come from this internal separation. It's this feeling of being disconnected from what's called our God spark, our inner essence. That fundamental part of us that just knows right from wrong. And this gives us a whole new way to think about a word we use all the time,
ignorance. It's pointed out that ignorance actually shares the same Latin root as the word ignoring. So in this context, it isn't just about not knowing something. It's an active choice to ignore that inner voice, that conscience that connects us to our higher self.
So, what happens when we do this ignoring? Well, when we do that, our personality, our ego, takes charge instead of our deeper essence. This leads to this major misalignment between our thoughts and our actions, which causes a total loss of integrity. And the inevitable result of that? Suffering. Not just for other people, but for the disconnected person too. Okay, so if disconnection is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's got to be the exact opposite, right? The path back is through what this framework defines as integrity.
And just like with ignorance, we get to look at integrity in a whole new light. It's not just about being honest. The root of the word is the Latin integer, which means one or whole. So integrity here means the actual state of being whole, of being connected with the one, that universal source or your inner essence. And this path right here shows you exactly how that connection turns into something real in the world. See, it all starts with integrity, that state of wholeness. From that connection, a vision can emerge. That vision then forms into a thought. That thought gets expressed as a word, which gets charged with feeling and intention. And finally, it manifests as an action. It's a creative process that absolutely begins with connection.
You know, to make this idea really stick, there's this fantastic analogy from Chinese medicine. It says it's way more effective to treat an imbalance at the Jing well point, which is like the tiny source at your fingertips, than to wait until it becomes a massive problem in the ocean of your body. In the exact same way, it's so much better to address an issue at the source, at the level of a thought, way before it ever turns into a harmful deed.
And this all leads to the final, you could say, the ultimate rule of this entire system. The bottom line is that for any of this to truly work, for our actions to be aligned and beneficial, they have to operate inside of what is called universal law. If they don't, they're just not going to work. It's as simple as that.
So, after all that, the final question really just comes back to us, to you. What inner impulse, what quiet little voice of conscience or essence might you be choosing to ignore? It's a pretty powerful thought to sit with. Thanks for hanging out with me on The Explainer.